If I were writing thriller movie scripts, I'd make sure my serial killer drives a Toyota. He'd blend in perfectly. Unless it was a Toyota CHR. What kind of a name is this anyway?
I'm sorry for making fun of the car's name, but it's just too good to miss. Never mind it's confusing with Honda having CR-V and HR-V in its lineup. Never mind the CHR looks a bit like Civic on steroids. Do you know what CHR actually stands for? When Toyota Motor Europe realized the Japanese are not kidding about naming the new crossover CHR, the creative team came up with Compact Hybrid Revolution. But you don't have to Google hard to find the original name, which was Coupe Highrider. Very Japanese.
Toyota CHR was designed based on the CHR concept, which was presented at the 2014 Frankfurt Motor Show. Besides rear doors, the car looks pretty much like the concept. CHR was designed in Europe with European market in mind, but when executives from other markets saw what's cooking, they wanted the compact revolution in their backyards as well. And so, for example, in the US, CHR will replace two Scion models, among them Scion XD, which Europeans know as the fugly expensive box or Toyota Urban Cruiser.
Toyota learned its lesson, and this time it designed a car that looks crazy from every angle. It draws attention, but at the same time it remains quite practical. We'll get to that in a moment.
At first glance, you're probably thinking Toyota just copied Nissan Juke. Better, it copied Juke and Qashqai. CHR doesn't look big, but it's bigger than the Juke and almost as long as the Qashqai. CHR is bigger than Citroen C4 Cactus and about the same size as DS4 or Kia Niro. Or Mitsubishi ASX, which also has a bigger boot. Speaking of the boot, the one in CHR has 377 liters volume and it is just a bit smaller than in a Volkswagen Golf. Fold the seats and there is no flat loading area. It looks as if there perhaps could be an optional double floor, but I couldn't find it on the accessories list.
These handles are much easier to use than they look, unless they're covered in snow.
It's dark in the back. The window line rising towards the back and tinted windows is not something your kids will like. But then the CHR was designed with singles and dinks in mind. Should you decide to drive your single friend somewhere on the weekend, headroom is good, legroom is average. There is no armrest, vents or 12-volt socket, but there are good drink holders for those crazy weekends.
It's much more interesting in the front, where depending on the trim you can even have a bi-color dashboard. I know some of you are not particularly keen on this tablet-like display, but as far as I'm concerned, for the time being, this is the way to go. Because there is more and more information provided to us on these displays, whether it's sat-nav, whether it's trip computer, that kind of stuff. So while driving and having the display here, you can just glance at it without taking your eyes off the road.
A design detail. These tiers, Toyota claims they're diamonds, appear on buttons, roofliner, dials, sills. I'm not a fan of piano black, but for now the car is new and they reflect door cards beautifully. Now you're probably thinking this is going to get filthy pretty soon. Not at all, because it's actually plastic. Toyota also designed practical cup holders and a place to stow your phone next to the USB port and a 3.5mm jack socket. However, the 12-volt socket is under the armrest and there is no way to get the cable out, so either charge via USB or keep the phone under the armrest.
Toyota's Revolution may be compact, but beside the hybrid drivetrain there is also a 1.2 four-cylinder turbo petrol engine like the one we have here. A while ago I drove an Auris with the same engine mated to a CVT. Under normal circumstances I'd say CVT is the work of Satan, but it actually makes very good use of the little torque this engine makes. With a manual transmission, you keep shifting and shifting and shifting, looking for oomph, but you find none. In the city, it's okay. On country roads and motorways, perhaps not too bad, but mountain roads are not where this car excels.
When you're bored in traffic, you'll probably find drive modes hidden in a menu on the display between the dials. You can switch between normal, eco and sport. Probably Toyota assumes you're not going to bother anyway, which is why it puts them away. The difference in reaction to gas pedal is negligible.
But if you want to feel like a racing driver, there is an IMT button somewhere above your left knee. IMT stands for Intelligent Manual Transmission, which is basically a rev matching system. In a Toyota! Unfortunately, it's nowhere as good as in a Mini.
But the CHR is better to drive around the twisties than 90% of what Toyota offers. So there is the GT86, then there is nothing, 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 then CHR, then nothing, 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 and then what's ever left in Toyota's lineup. With this good a suspension, which soaks up all the bumps and prevents the car from rolling in the bends, I'd love to have a bit more power. Or maybe the car doesn't roll because it's so slow. Anyway, Toyota did a good job in the suspension department. Steering is also much quicker than in most Toyotas. It's a shame the steering wheel is so big, but it can be heated. And this is where we get to parts sharing.
Since Toyota CHR was designed from scratch on a new modular platform, it could have been designed with a new set of switchgear. Steering wheel heating, IMT, automatic parking, all these buttons are located down by my left knee. I know people who never find them there. And of course, Toyota's signature digital clock. Over the last 30-40 years, the color changed from green to blue. This interesting exterior design has some downsides, unfortunately. For example, you can't see anything from the B pillar to the C pillar. Nothing. There's a huge blind spot there. So you'll need a reversing camera, parking sensors, cross-traffic detection system, and on the road there is also a blind spot monitoring system. And yes, it also helps.
As standard, the CHR comes with adaptive cruise control and collision warning with pedestrian detection. This system goes nuts during snowfall, but that's understandable. However, driving a few weeks every year with a yellow arrow light lit up on the dash may be annoying.
If it was up to me, I'd give the CHR GT86 engine an all-wheel drive. The latter is an expensive option available with the 1.2 petrol engine and CVT, which is also an expensive option. If you want automatic transmission, better opt for a hybrid, which is also more frugal and slightly faster. Yeah, the day when your hybrid is slightly faster than your petrol engine. Oh, what the world has come to. Anyway, the 1.2 petrol engine realistically uses around 7 to 8 liters per 100 kilometers combined.
Prices of Toyota CHR start at around 22,000 euro. This high-spec model with options costs about 31 grand, and that's before adding 1,500 euro for CVT and 2 grand for all-wheel drive on top of that. There's also plenty of customization options with colorful spoilers, fog light frames, side panels, etc.
I like the unusual design with a relatively practical interior. It's as if the Japanese got to work on a DS4. I'd like a more powerful engine, but I realize the target group mostly drives in traffic and looks suffice. And how do you like the Toyota CHR? Too avant-garde or perhaps better than a Qashqai? Let me know in the comments below. Share, rate, subscribe, and if you think I could improve my reviews, help me make that happen by donating to Patreon or PayPal. You'll find the links in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. These door handles are much easier to use than they look, unless they're covered in snow. Oh!